Yep, that's right. After seeing that fucking anatomy cutout of Godzilla everywhere, I decided to make my own out of like this $10 fucking little shit toy. And yeah, so today I'll show you how I made this. Yep, so that's what I started off with, a $10 little bootleg toy. So the first thing I'm gonna do is mark out what I want to have the cross section at. Do that with some white paint. And here I drink a bunch of caffeine and stab my finger a few times with a razor blade. And yeah, look at that, there's fucking cotton in there. I have no idea why. So just extract that and then start out with shoving a fucking pencil up his ass. And then, looking back now, I should have just mixed up some plaster in the cup and poured it in, but at like 1 AM this seemed like a really good idea, and I just decided to pour some plaster in there without adding water first, and I thought, oh, might as well mix the water in like there. I had a moment. But in the end, it works out. Yep, and then I just let it dry out in a few minutes, and then I start throwing some tinfoil in there to bulk out that hole. Then I grab some air drying Sculpey clay, and just kind of smooth that all out, give it a good foundation to start sculpting on. Looking back now, I don't know if this is the best idea, since it took a few days for that to dry out, and I started using a heat gun and kind of burned the plastic a bit. Plus it shrunk slightly, so I had to fill up the gaps it made. This is completely optional, but I just decided to cut off the arm to slightly glue it in a different position. And once that clay is dry, I mark out the major features I want to apply, and I lose the camera footage of sculpting that. Okay, since the camera kind of fucked me over last time, I'm going to explain how I sculpted all of this on a potato. So the first thing I did was get a blob of clay, plop it right here, and these will be the rib cage thing. And I just leave it as a big blob right there. Then the next thing I did was grab another bit of clay and make the neck bone thing there, which, as you guessed it, is a fucking blob of clay. And then, if you can keep up with this, the next thing I do is use another blob of clay, and this is going to be the lower back, where all the pain happens. After that, I looked at a lot of pictures and realized that none of them make any sense, and I'll just use the one that's the coolest one. Where was it going? Oh, I do this. So to make the rib cage, I just drew a bunch of lines like that. I know, really complicated and hard to keep up with, but you could do it. Then with the end of the spatula, I could do the finer details. Hopefully you could hear the coughing in the background. And then with the spatula you could also refine the detail. And because I wanted to be more cartoony, I kept it to be plain and simple. Another blob. That becomes a shoulder plate. Giant blob for the lower hip. That's the word. You could really make it as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. And then one last blob for the arm. And then all you have to do is just smooth it out, refine it a little more, and you're pretty much done. Thank you, past me. And now it's time to paint. So I start out with a base coat of pink. As you see, I very carefully and meticulously apply it. And yeah, I used the wrong paintbrush. That was, we couldn't get in all the little deep crevices. Now I mix up some bone color with some tan and some white, mix that up, and I think it'd be a pretty good bone. You could say I'm boning it. Come on, I have to make stupid jokes sometimes. And then for the rest of the figure, I get rid of the weird paint job by just throwing some more black paint on there to get a good base coat. I think the main thing that was wrong with bootleg was the eyes, so once you cover that up, it looks a lot better. And originally, I was just gonna leave it like that, repaint the rest of the figure, but later on, my girlfriend convinced me, like, oh, it needs more guts. It kind of looks empty like that, with just the bones. And then I just dry brush it with some gray, and then I dry brush the fins with some more white, and it looks pretty good from there on. This is also optional, but I carved out each tooth from the mold line, so it looked a little better. A little less goofy. Takes a lot of time. I don't know if it really helped that much, since at the end I closed the mouth. And then because I didn't think about this before, I'm using a Dremel to carve in more details into that air drain clay. And then just touch it up with some red. And then now for the guts, I'm gonna get the epoxy clay again and just do a few noodles, and that way I could just throw it in there and make a clump of guts. This one like requires no skill, so anyone can do it. Yeah, I wasn't really going for Godzilla as a fantasy character, so I just thought I could have as much fun with the anatomy as I can. It doesn't have to be very realistic. It's a giant radioactive dinosaur. And then I thought it'd be fun to have the chunks of fat in his thunder thighs, because like the old Godzilla, he's thick. He's a thick boy. Then I do that by rolling up little balls of clay and shoving it in there. And then in those little balls, I kind of just poke it in there to give it a little more dimension and character. And then because I never have any purple, I have to mix up my own. And I'm going to use that for the guts. Oh, there's my cat spot. Then I'll get those neck bones again, with some more of that bone color, and for the fat I'm going to paint it yellow since it looks pretty fatty. And because the mouth is all a little goofy, I'm just going to glue it shut. And there's only one seam line on this toy, but it's pretty big, so I'm going to start getting rid of that with the Dremel. I should have worn a mask for this because I started coughing out fucking plastic chunks. It was not a smart idea, not the least bit. And then I have even a smarter idea to use a soldering iron to inhale the steam and smoke from the horrible plastic melting. It works a lot better than the Dremel, and it could even sculpt some detail back into it. But don't do this inside a house or a room like me. And then for the last step, I'm gonna fix up the spines because they're kind of not movie accurate. They look better with a little extra bits. And then I'll do a few more finishing touches in the background, and you'll see the finished product in a bit. But yeah, this is a really easy project. If you ever want to try a custom, I'd highly recommend trying this one, or trying to do it like this, because you just cut a hole in a toy and sculpt some fun anatomy, and you're done. Ta-da! I think I might go back with some really gloss finish over that to look fun. There it is, next to the original bootleg Chipmunkzilla. Well, I am gonna stop narrating. Hope you liked the video and heard my cat meow in the background.